Good evening, everyone. I hope that you had a very good day. Nobody seems very tired, which I'm surprised about. What a beautiful setting for us to gather for this reception. Because we all come from struggle. We come from many different kinds of struggles. As we know, as we spoke in the morning, the city of Cape Town has many particular struggles, and it's a great honor to be welcomed nonetheless in this way to the city of Cape Town and its administrative center. Some of us are inside here, some of us are outside. The city of Cape Town represented today, we were just chatting about the very deep and important issues that need to be addressed in the city. And as we gather for the first day of our Kopano, knowing our histories of being violated as LGBTI people, we know only too well, perhaps better than most, what it is like to be on the margins and on the outside. But today is a celebration, this evening is a celebration of you gathered from so many different countries, gathered together in Kopano after such a long time of being isolated from each other. And we want to be happy about that and celebrate that. And it gives me very great honor to introduce a member of the mayoral committee of the city of Cape Town, Councillor Rob Quintas, who is going to speak on behalf of the city, and the executive mayor of the city of Cape Town, Mr. Jordan Hill-Lewis.
Good evening, everybody. And on behalf of the city of Cape Town, I would like to officially say welcome, bienvenue, jambo, and I hope that the next few days spent in plenary in our city will be days that are productive and enjoyed, and that you leave with a very positive impression of the city of Cape Town and South Africa. So to all of the delegates from the roughly 17 countries, on behalf of the city's mayor, Alderman Jordan Hill-Lewis, and on behalf of myself, Councillor Rob Quintas, I would like to just officially say welcome. So for those of you who may not know, I myself am a gay man, art and proud, and I would just also like to say that within the council of the city of Cape Town, there are probably about 16 or 18 openly out and proud LGBTI plus councillors in local government. Cape Town is the mother city of South Africa and is undoubtedly the pink capital of the continent. We have taken great strides, Governor, and I will be the first to admit that there is still so much more to do. There are still too many horrific, brutal crimes, fatalities being perpetrated against men and women who identify as LGBTI+, even here in Cape Town. So for as long as there are still those who are afraid to walk streets, wherever those streets may be, openly and vulnerably as themselves, we will need to continue working hard. So in that, the city of Cape Town has addressed multiple issues where we try and ensure that our LGBTQIA+ community feel included. And part of our city has several pillars or tenets, of which the opportunity city, the inclusive city, the safe city are all part of those. And in doing that, where we are able, we have sensitized and worked on programs for our first responders and law enforcement and metro police, fire services, and other first-line responders have been sensitized around LGBTQIA+ issues and concerns and a better way to deal with those who are very often not only vulnerable, but in vulnerable circumstances. The same applies for our shelters that are run by the City of Cape Town and the shelters where we fund to ensure that there is a modicum of awareness and that there are separate spaces for trans persons and that can be accommodated with dignity and in safety should they choose to go to those shelters. We also, as the City of Cape Town, provide Africa's only compliant shelter for LGBTI plus persons. The city provides the space on Maltino Road for those people and also works closely with organizations and NGOs both within Cape Town and across the country in our effort to ensure that we are doing the very best that we can for all of our residents, no matter where they are on the rainbow spectrum. So please do be welcome. You very much are. And I hope that the spirit of which this conference is aimed, which is to find ways to improve and entrench rights and equality on the continent, is taken on board by all of you and that many meaningful networks and partnerships can come about. And I certainly hope that the drive to see a greater economic inclusion of LGBTQI plus persons on the continent, where they can experience not only freedom in terms of who they are, but have the freedom that comes with economic security. You're welcome here. You're not on the margins here. You are a part of us while you stay here. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Please join me in expressing our gratitude again to Councillor Quintas for being here and to the City of Cape Town. And now for this morning, Councillor Quintas, we were introducing the co-facilitators of Kopano, which is made up of about 9 different organizations. And one of them got a very, very loud applause compared to the others. So I can assure you that when I introduce the next speaker, they have the support of everyone here, from your very own city, Cape Town, the Executive Director of Gender Dynamics, the co-hosting organization which is based in Cape Town, Liberty Matesa.
Yes, girl. Good evening, everyone. Not ladies and gentlemen, not just men and women, everyone. I stand here feeling very torn and also very emotional that there are some of our community members that's protesting outside. And those community members are people that's also from the city. And so while we are here enjoying a nice time with the city, we need to ask ourselves the question, why are there community members, heads of organizations from this local context, mainly people of color, black people, protesting outside? And it's because this city is one with multiple parallel universes. And tonight we are standing in one of those universes, the privileged part of those universes. Many of our community members can't be here tonight because of how systems of exclusion work. What it means to have to travel from the margins of the city to the inner city to access opportunities to participate and access opportunities to engage in general with the city. And so Councillor Quintas in as much as I recognize that your viewpoint is that Cape Town is an inclusive city. Cape Town is a safe city. The question is, for who is it a safe city? This city is one that criminalizes poverty. It's one that criminalizes homelessness. It's one that criminalizes landlessness, all to maintain status quo. A particular apartheid imagining of what segregation continues to be. One stark reality of that was at the heart of COVID-19, where our people were removed from the inner city under the guise of epidemic control, but it was to segregate our people to Strandfontein. That was built for a particular purpose, which is to keep black people and people of color out of the sanitized urban spaces only meant for white rich people. And so it's an important moment because we don't get to have the ear of the city often. Only certain queer organizations and queer people get to have the city's ear. And that falls along the lines of gendered lines, racial lines, and class lines when we march at Cape Town Pride, and I haven't marched at Cape Town Pride for probably 10 years. And the reason why I don't march at Cape Town Pride is because of white, cisgender, hyper-masculine men using that as a base for their party. It's a celebration, but we've lost our political consciousness. And so let us not kid ourselves in pink washing what Cape Town is. Because there's a lot that Cape Town hides from visitors, there's a lot that Cape Town hides from people coming from outside the city and outside of our borders, particularly the global north and the west. And so perhaps the invitation here, and it is an invitation while we are speaking truth to power, it is an invitation. If the commitment is to truly create an inclusive and safe city for all that lives within the city, how do we envision a process of building then meaningfully together? And it could start with the point of inviting Black-led organizations to the table with the mayor and with the premier to have a discussion about what a roadmap could look like for transformation. Because at the moment, that opportunity is not even something that we are really being given at this point in time. We speak about the issue of shelters. Gender dynamics is based in the city, and we can only work with 2 shelters effectively to house our trans and gender diverse community members. So it's either the city doesn't understand what the people are doing within the city, or the people are undermining the city's authority in providing services to the people. And so the invitation stands. And I had a conversation with you, and I can understand how this is a hard intervention, but it is a necessary intervention. Because to go home every single day, for many of our community members having to face the violence, and it's structural and systemic violence that is built into and ingrained into the city, is a different violence that we cannot even comprehend beyond feeling perhaps a little bit embarrassed within a particular space. So I would want us to reflect on what that, and perhaps you can speak to that to some degree, what an invitation, whether the city is able to accept that particular invitation of having a convening to start off with us as Black-led community organizations. And the reason why that is important, because 2024 is around the corner. ILGA World. And we won. We won the bid to host ILGA World in this still beautiful, dynamic city. And so when we move to 2024, as Gender Dynamics and our partner, Irantin, where's Nolwazi? Nolwazi, can you just put up your hand there? From Iranti, as we move towards 2024, we want to move to 2024 with full confidence that the city has our back and that of our community members, and not just the part of our community's back. Because that is going to be the determining factor as to how well we can proclaim to be a city of transformation and a city that can stand in solidarity for the most marginalized amongst us. No one of us is free unless all of us are free in this particular city, in this context. And so I'm going to conclude by saying that Cape Town remains a beautiful, a vibrant city filled with possibilities. Cape Town remains a space that is more enabling and perhaps more supportive of LGBTQI+ persons relative to other contexts on this continent, because safety and security and issues around inclusion is always relative. And definitely that can be a feather in our cap, but in terms of our internal dynamics, let us not lose sight of where we need to go in order to transform this city from where it is now to where it can be in the future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'm incredibly proud. Not only proud of Liberty's incredible power and honesty, but I'm incredibly proud of how the dynamics of politics in South Africa are maturing, that we can engage with the city with such honesty and openness, but with a deep respect and a hope for a better future. And so I feel very inspired and proud of that. I'm also incredibly proud of the new co-chairperson of the other foundation. Please welcome Rosie Motene.
Thank you so much, Neville. Before we start, we know we're Africans. We know that we're led by our ancestors. Liberty ignited our ancestors in this space. And she needs to be applauded one more time, because the truth is not easy. But we're at such a beautiful space in our lives, in the world. Yes, we came through a crazy pandemic, but we're here. We're queer, and we're not going anywhere. We show up and we look good. Councillor Robben, we thank you. To my fellow Africans and nibblings and family and siblings, bonsoir. Sanibonani. Dumelang. Boa tarde. Supposed to be in Portuguese. My Portuguese isn't great. Mulibwanji. Karibu sana. Oh, okay. Habari za jioni. And the reason for this and why I'm doing it is that this year's Kopano is not just about learning, but it's a lot about unlearning. Unlearning a lot about the past. The reinvention. How are we reinventing what needs to change? Yes, this is the world-class city for some. How do we make it a world-class city for everybody? Of course, we need to thank and congratulate Iranti and Gender Dynamics for putting us on the map for 2024. What a beautiful time to be alive. And we salute you and we thank you. As I said before, it's a time for learning, unlearning. We got through the pandemic. But the reality is, prior to the pandemic, in some way or another, we all suffered another pandemic. And that was simply because of who we are, who we love. I stand on the stage as a very proud black queer woman. And I acknowledge my privilege. And that's why, Councillor Rob, acknowledge your privilege. And when you're in that room, what are you doing with that privilege? Many people say that I'm into women empowerment. No, I'm a feminist. Because when I get invited to that table, it's not about for me to shine, it's about me to figure out which seats need to be filled. And we see you at the back, and we have called the city of Cape Town to order. We've understood and we see the atrocities that have been happening within our country. And as we close off, we also need to give thanks. I'd like to give thanks to my new board. It's taken over as co-chair, and my other co-chair, Danilo, unfortunately couldn't make it because he's in Mozambique and had work commitments. But to the rest of the board that are here, thank you so much for the transition. Thank you to my predecessors, Shanti and Bella, who aren't here today but left very, very big shoes to fill. And then, of course, to the people behind the other foundation. For the last 2 decades, I've had the fortunate opportunity of working with the most amazing people. But I think this time round, my ancestors definitely elevated me to platinum status. Because I'm working with people who not only walk the walk, they talk the talk, and they go beyond. They managed to put this convening together. How? I don't know, because they're not event planners. They have strategic roles, and they fill those very, very well. I know this because at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting different SMSs or emails and follow-ups and so forth. And so for that, they need to be acknowledged. Sophia, who is our office keeper. Michelle, who's our financial manager. And Tate Debogo, who's our religious officer. Bokang, who's our office administrator. Shekeshe, who's head of operations. Tandeka, who's the program support officer. Tapelo, who's the PA to the CEO, and whenever I need something, I'm like, Tapelo, I don't know what I'm doing, he's there for me too. Sebenzile, who's the executive officer for strategic partnerships. Samuel, who is the research officer. Tendai, who's our media and communications consultant. Kotluana, who's the executive officer for program functions. All under the powerful leadership of Neville Gabriel, who is our CEO. To the staff and the board of the other foundation, we see you. We see the work that has been put in. We thank you. We appreciate you. Going back to the issue of privilege, it is great and it's fantastic that the Cape Town City supports gay pride. That is absolutely a necessity. And it is a pride and it is beautiful that you can stand on the stage as a proud gay man. But all of us here are also either proud, either gay, either lesbian, bisexual, whatever our preference is, and all of us need to be represented. We humbly request that you show more support to the Kumbalani pride that needs our support, not only in the city of Cape Town, whether it's telling people, because remember, it's our people that also need that respect. Yes, we have shelters in our country, but our government and our constitution is great on paper. We know that. For a fact that, yes, we have shelters that open up to other members of the community, but our constitution does not allow certain shelters to allow gay people in, and that is the constitution. The fact that we have one official LGBTQI shelter in this city needs to change. And in closing, we mentioned it early on, so many people have been killed, have been died purely because of who they are or who they love. We will never forget them. Some of their names have come out even louder because they've had the opportunity of being impressed or whatever the reasons are. But also remember, there's also been a lot of erasure. That has been part of our build-up, and that is one of the reinventions that we need to change. We look back at 1995, the Beijing conference. The first black lesbian who spoke at the UN conference was the only speech that was erased out of history. Dr. Bev Ditsi from South Africa spoke for approximately 15 minutes, and only 6 minutes of that speech can be captured, and it's not in any broadcast. Why? It's not coincidence, it's deliberance. And that is where the reinvention changes. That is where we need to be deliberate. That is where we need to be intentional about bringing in the change that we really want. And at the same time, honoring those ancestors who have left us. I'm going to be calling out a few names, and these are names of people that I've either met or have known personally. If you have, and I know that we all do, say it in your heart, say it in your mind, or scream it out. Because they're here in this room tonight, and we will never forget them. We will never forget for what they've done, what they've stood for, and the fact that they lived their true selves. Duduzile Zozo, Sana Supa, Desiree Mafo, Sebangele Nhlapo, Lucia Naidu, Daisy Dube, Sasha Lee Gordon, Phoebe Titus, Gachiso Maima. We see you, we feel you, we thank you. Kopano 2022 is officially open. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Rosie, for that. I want to ask you all to turn your attention to your left-hand side, the stage over there, and recognize and applaud the Kirsten Skipper Jazz Band from the University of Cape Town, who are entertaining us this evening. And with that, we are very grateful, all of you, for turning up. Please enjoy the evening and have a great time. Thank you.